I don't know.
Well, you know, as you point out, you don't really have any
Well, I'm not going to
control over
watch it, or, you know, I won't watch it. I'll sit there with my fingers in my ears and my eyes screwed shut and let my wife watch it and see what she thinks to it.
Now, Walter said a very interesting thing to me. I was asking her about, I don't remember, I think it was the sculptress. She was here on a book tour talking about a later book. And she said, you know, you really have to think of it as television is distinct from book. And, you know, while it wasn't really all her book by any means, she thought it was very good television and it viewed as TV drama as opposed to an adaptation of her book.
But then she's lucky, you see. She's not got a series of books. She's doing one-offs. Doesn't matter if it doesn't work so much. But if somebody goes to the TV, sees John Hannah on screen, okay, goes to the books and starts reading them, they're reading John Hannah into Rebus. They can't read the book without his face popping up all the time. Same with the minor characters. And if they don't meld with the characters as described in the books, then they're not going to get involved in the books. I've had it happen to me, you know, where you go and see a movie, could be One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, you know, great film, but you go to the book and you read the first description of the Jack Nicholson character, and it isn't Jack Nicholson. The guy's got red hair and a ponytail.
I suppose it could force you to write, you know, yet
well,
something else.
Look at Colin Dexter. Look at what he did. He started to change the books so they became more like the TV series.
True. But you always have the option, unless, of course, you know, under contract you can, of considering writing something else. I mean, you know, you can abandon...
Rebus has only got so many books in him. I mean, he's 52 now. He'll retire at 55.
Well, if you've got him in real time, then you're looking at that inevitability anyway.
Yeah.
So
4 or 5 books.
It might turn out in your favor, so to speak.
Might do. Of course, if I stop writing the books and nobody buys the other books, I'll have to bring them back, sort of Holmes style, you know, Sherlock Holmes style.
Well, you have a very impressive list of Rebus titles, which are listed in here. I became acquainted with your books through Diana Gabaldon, a Scottish writer here who, as you know, has become a romance, or not romance really, but a time travel, various kind of bestseller. Did you meet her this summer when she came to Edinburgh?
She was, I met her at the book festival just to say, hi Diana, how you doing? I first met her at the Vancouver Literary Festival about 2 or 3 years ago.
She's a tremendous fan of your books, and really before your profile is as high as it is now, she used to come into the store and ask us to order. So I remember getting some of the early ones, The Watchmen, when they were out in paperback for Diana. And so thanks to her, I've been a follower of your books for a long time. But we already mentioned Knots and Crosses, Hide and Seek, and Tooth and Nail, which I gather was published originally as Wolfman.
Yeah, and my American editor said Wolfman makes it sound too much like a horror novel. Why don't we change it to Tooth and Nail? And as soon as he said it, I thought that's a great title. It's a much better title.
It is a good title.
So then we changed it in the UK as well.
Great.
So that was a guy called Sean Coyne who used to work for St. Martin's. He was responsible.
And he's now a senior editor at Doubleday.
Oh, is he?
Yes,
I didn't know.
very well.
That I didn't know.
Then you went on to do Stripjack, The Black Book, Mortal Causes, Let It Bleed, Black and Blue, which was the Gold Dagger Best Novel winner, and The Hanging Garden. You've also done a novella for Orion, which we have sold at the...
It's a stocking filler. We pitched it at the Christmas market. It was a tiny little hardback for about £6.
Yeah,
$10.
And very nice. But you've also, I didn't want to overlook this, because you have won 2 Gold Daggers for short stories.
Yeah.
You also enjoy writing the short fiction.
I love short stories. I wish I could make a living writing short stories. I like the kind of, I mean, a novel it's a marathon. You know, you sit down on day one and you think, it's going to take me 10 months to do this. You know, best part of 10 months of my life is going to be taken up on this book. A short story, you can sit there for a couple of days and you've got a complete artifact. And you can read it over, and you can keep it all in your head. I have trouble sometimes. I mean, all these plots and things, you can't keep them in your head to the same extent, and you make mistakes. And in short, I use short stories between novels almost as a kind of literary laxative, just to get Rebus out of my system, right? So that I do first person, I do comedy, I do historical, I do whatever, things that will get me right away from the Rebus books. And that's what I enjoy about the short stories, is the variety. And partly that's been, I think, reflected in the 2 Daggers. I was also shortlisted for an Anthony for Best Short Story over here. Didn't win it. And I was nominated for the Edgar for Best Novel for Black and Blue as well.
That's right,
so
because you and I were at the same table at St. Martin's.
Yeah,
that's right, you were. And St. Martin's is the publisher for Dead Souls, which is the book that has brought you to us right at the moment. I wanted to tell you, too, I really like the cover.
It's a very nice cover.
Yeah.
And the website's got the same kind of design on it, this kind of blue jigsaw pattern. Because they've stolen my name, you know. www.ianrankin.com. I went to buy that name, that domain name, and it said, it came up, it's already gone, somebody's bought it. And I found out it was St. Martin's. So that wasn't too bad. But,
well, maybe you can negotiate later on with the publisher. One thing I did want to ask you about before we run out of time, you were also this year the chairman of the British Crime Writers Association.
Yeah, for my sins.
Well, whatever reason, it is a prestigious post. It also must be a demanding post.
It is. I could have done without it, to be honest with you.
Well, you know, you're up in, I mean, you are a little bit away, too, geographically.
Once a month I have to go down to London for meetings, and London is 450 miles from Edinburgh. It's about 5 hours on the train. So it's a whole day.
Why did you make this commitment? I mean, is it supporting your fellow
I got bullied
writers?
into it. I got bullied into it by the chairman before, who was Janet Lawrence.
The Silver Fox.
The Silver Fox. Yeah, and she bullied me into becoming vice chairman, and the vice chair automatically becomes chair for a year. And it's a lot of work, especially when, you know, you get the occasional little ditzy thing happening in the media where they start to try and get a little rivalry going between the kind of traditional crime writers and the new wave crime writers. You know,
leather jacket. What did they call them? Black jacket?
They had me down as, you know, the leather jackets are taken over from the Blue Rinse Brigade. There was this big article in the paper, and it was just stupid, because as I say, the chairman picks or asks the vice chair, and then that automatically, so there was no kind of bitching, there was no cat fight between Janet Lawrence and me. There was no vote for me to become chairman. It was an automatic thing. And I've now got my vice chair is Natasha Cooper. And she's terrific. I mean, she takes a lot of the work off my shoulders. And then she'll be chair next year, and she'll ask someone to be her vice chair, and so it goes.
Well, I was kind of curious in the sense that, you know, you have 2 small children. You live way far away from you know, the sort of center
I've got a book to write every year.
Right.
Yeah, I do the book tours.
Right. Yeah. Your professional life is extremely busy. You do a lot of interviewing and whatever. And I guess I was kind of curious about, you know, why you were willing to make this commitment and time to a job that at this moment in your life is probably not enormously convenient for you to be doing.
No. As I say, you know, I could have shot myself as soon as I said yes. I went and put the phone down. I think Miranda, my wife, nearly slapped me silly.
Well, I wasn't going to ask you about Miranda's reaction.
No, she wasn't too happy about it either. But, you know, it's a year, and my time is up in April. So we're getting there. I keep kind of ticking off the months on the calendar, you know, oh, I've survived another month.
Oh, come on, Ian.
I mean, a lot of it is about being good kind of people management, i.e. getting other people, you know, delegating to other people. And I'm great because there's somebody who does the awards, somebody who does the awards dinner, someone's in charge of the convention and the conference, somebody else is in charge of publicity. And it's really just kind of making sure they're all doing their jobs. And if you've got good people doing those jobs, then, you know, then you can take a bit of a back seat.
Well, there's been a number of divisions, rifts, problems, and so forth. The Crime Writers Association has had a rather tumultuous history in recent times, starting with the infamous debate between Chaz Frenchley and crew and P.D. James. And I thought that perhaps, you know, a high-profile writer like yourself was a really excellent chairman, because, you know, there are things that you can do because of the platform that you occupy that perhaps somebody...
Well, this year, for the first time, I mean, the kind of big battle we've always had is the perception that, that people in general have that British crime writers are going to be of the cosy school. It will be just Agatha Christie, you know, reinvented. And of course, there are writers out there who've been... they're immersing themselves in crime fiction from all over the world, and they want to do different things with a crime novel. And finally this year, the Booker Prize Committee, Booker is like our kind of Pulitzer almost, the Booker Prize Committee for Fiction were seriously looking at crime novels.
And they picked one that one could call a crime novel, the Michael Frayn headlong.
Yeah.
I was kind of thinking that Val might actually have Val McDermott might have a place of execution.
It was mentioned in dispatches. So they looked at it fairly seriously.
Do you think that would have a significant effect? Because in Britain, if I'm not mistaken, there's a tendency to look down a bit on crime as not real fiction. Genre fiction or not worthy.
Yeah.
And I remember when P.D. James was here in 1995, and I interviewed her, that even after she had said that she writes crime novels and gave her excellent reasons about, you know, the moral heart and, you know, the nature of the work, and nothing else really appealed to her, there were still people that came up to her at the end of the event and said, you know, she was too good a writer to be writing mystery. And I thought she was extremely restrained not to slaughter them on the spot. But I'm wondering if...
Dostoevsky wrote mysteries, Dickens wrote mysteries, you know.
Victor Hugo?
Yeah. It's a
very
long and honourable tradition. We only started pigeonholing them around about the 20s and 30s.